Good morning, everyone. Today is, let me take a look, the 8th of April. We're in the middle of the week, Wednesday. This is Brad Matheny. This is the Plan Your Trade video, and we've had some incredible move yesterday after the 2 week pause related to the conflict in Iran. Now, the markets are up tremendously, 2.5, 2.6%. S&P's up 172 points. We can go over here and take a look at the YM real quick. So let's take a look at the futures. The Dow Jones is up 1,200 points, up 2.6. The NASDAQ NQ is up 23 points, up 3.37. Going to be a huge move for the NASDAQ and technology. And remember, this pause lasts 2 weeks. So we could very easily roll into a push up into new highs. So you can see where we're at historically. If we were to continue to push higher into Q1 earnings, there is nothing saying that we couldn't come up, pause at this area, push a bit higher, and then roll a little. So very likely that my outcome is playing out. Now, we come back over here to the ES, which is the same as the SPX 500 roughly. You can see where we're at, pulling higher. We've had a huge move. It's up 176.5 points, 260 or 2.65%. Massive move. I hope you guys were able to get into some anchor positions off of these lows, like I talked about. This is a really big move. And today, book them if you got them. Okay. This is a scenario where if you were able to catch some longs, book 60, 70, 80% of them, and maybe leave some of the rest running. This is a really big move. Now, not going to quote my source, but the source I have is saying that this move was related to a pause negotiated between U.S. and Israel, related to, let's call it, ongoing supply. And don't know if this is true or not. But I imagine from what I'm seeing that Iran is still launching missiles. They're still going to do what they're going to do, pushing the envelope. And remember, I think you've got two factors operating in Iran right now. You've got the old guard, which is going to try to take advantage of any opportunity they can to launch whatever they can at any neighboring countries. And then you've got the new regime that's trying to negotiate and overthrow the old regime, and they're hoping to negotiate some sort of a ceasefire to protect what assets they have before everything gets destroyed. Now, in my opinion, as I mentioned to you, we're looking at a fairly solid rally. Remember, I showed you the predictive modeling software over here weeks ago, highlighted a move like this that I showed you up into the 720, 714, 709 area. Right now, the predictive modeling is suggesting we're going to get a bounce. This is the low last week or this week, and then we continue to migrate higher back up into the 680, 690 area. We're going to probably be in that 680, 690 area already. Okay, so my assumption is that we are going to see a rally. You can see this channel that I've been drawing, and we'll try to go back here and show you where it comes from. You can see this channel comes all the way down off of these lows back in 2018. And I'm talking this channel coming right across here. So my assumption would be is that we are going to rally from these lows up into like we've seen today, find some resistance here, and then try to push up into this area. That's a pretty good assumption, in my opinion, of what we are likely to see happen over the next couple of weeks. Remember, we still have to get through earnings. We could push a little higher. So understand that in reality, we could be up in the 720, 740 area, peaking out up in this area. We'll see. This relieves a lot of pressure off the markets right now. Oil is collapsing. Um, I'm assuming the VIX is moving with regard to volatility today because this is a huge move, and we'll see how it plays out. Now, today's pattern is a inside breakaway. We're definitely going to see a breakaway here. We're definitely going to be moving back to the upside. I would suspect that early trading would generate a pause. So I would suspect after a very big move here, we could get a bit. If I go down to hourly here, spread this out a little bit. This is overnight. I would suspect that after we get into early morning trading, we might see a bit of rotation and a pause before we continue to try to melt higher. So again, this is an area where book them and then potentially try to reload. I would suspect if we get any kind of a pullback, it would probably be down below. Well, let me do it as a box down into this area. So 680, 679, 678 on the SPY. So yeah, and that would probably be our scenario here. So this is, let me come back over here to my main chart. Yeah, here we have the main chart. We'll come back in here to daily. And so you can see where we're going to open. We're going to open way up here, which is where I told you we're going to run into resistance. We're already at 676 right now. So what's going to happen here if we open up in this area near this green line right here, which is where we're going to probably open here. Let me get rid of this. This is the area I told you we'd probably run into resistance. So we've already had this move. We've had this big rally. This is the area I told you we would likely run into resistance. We've seen this rally upward overnight from here, basically up to here. And this is where we're probably going to get some volatility before we attempt to move higher. So today, I would expect that, if I come in here and get rid of that, back to hourly, I would suspect that we are going to run into some early morning resistance right here, possibly breaking down a little and then rallying up, maybe up into that area, 686, 685, 684. So again, if you were to try to find a low to attempt to buy into, I would suggest possibly 672 to 668, maybe down into this 666 area. This would be the low buy zone, in my opinion, where price could pull back after early morning volatility into this area, try to find some support, and then rally back up into the 685, 686, 684 area. So really more like closer to 685 here. And again, I think we're going to see a pretty solid melt up. We haven't even started into earnings. I think earnings will play out very well. And I think we're going to be looking at a pretty solid continued melt up. So just be aware that after a big move like this, you're likely to get some pause. So we're likely going to see some rotation. And I think this, six, I think personally, this low buy zone down here, 669, 670, 672, 671, this area here is the area to try to buy into if we get a bit of a pause. Remember, this is going to be a very solid book'em day. Huge moves if you were able to get into some calls like I was able to do. Even gold and silver are massively higher. Now, if we come back over here and let's take a look at the range for Ross, given where we're at, Ross, I'm going to tell you right now, you've got probably a 685, 686 high, and you probably got a low down here near this buy zone. So where we're at with this, again, if I were to move these numbers up, so roughly 666, 665, I'll leave it there, and 668, 679, and so that would put us up here at 686 as roughly our upper area. And I think that's a fairly safe zone for price right now. A lot of volatility. I do believe we're going to get carryover today. I think this is going to be a big relief. And as we move into earnings, I think we're going to see it continue to melt upward. Remember, I mentioned earlier about this 684.86 as a target area. This is very likely today. I mean, we're really today or tomorrow, we could be hitting this target area very cleanly, very effectively. But we move right back into that, defense level zone, the green level here and the yellow level here. We're moving right back into that defense level zone within a day, maybe today. So we're going to be back into resistance right over here, struggling to try to get above it. I still do believe that we're going to see a rally up into this 704, 710 area, up in this area. But I think it's going to be more towards April 15th, April 20th, maybe a little later with earnings coming in. So, again, right now, just a stupendous move. Now, I want to also talk about the fact that, we're in very solid rallying. You can see here, this is the SPY. We're back into bullish rally. Bullish rally. We haven't moved into bullish trending here yet. We will today, obviously, with this huge move higher. Um, so where we're at the moment is in the strong bullish trending. You see on the SPX 500, we've already moved into extreme trending with potential exhaustion, which means book it, start taking profits, don't leave it on the table. Could continue to move higher, probably book 60, 70, maybe 80%. We've gone back into bullish trending here. NASDAQ, same thing, gone into almost extreme trending, into exhaustion, bullish, bullish, bullish. This is a very big breakaway that could continue for another 7, 10, maybe 15 days, melting upward. Okay, and then we have let's go to the Dow Jones. It hasn't opened yet. See if we'll go back to the YM. I know the YM is open. And you can see we're back into almost extreme trending. We're moving into exhaustion. Bullish trending here, still not green, but we're looking very solid as a breakaway pattern setting up right now for a big rally. So remember, we're looking at this move that I talked about. The bounce is definitely here. At this point, I think I can confidently say, I told you so. And as KD said a couple of weeks ago, I'm about the only one that was calling for a bounce back over here to take place. Granted, I was a little early, and I even indicated that with if I come over here and show you through the data, this was the original chart that I sent, talked to you guys about this bounce. So I was literally probably 2 weeks early. This was March 15th, March 20th, March 21st. There's the date right up here. March 21st. That was what? I got to do the math here. That was 18 days ago, 3 weeks ago, roughly. And was calling for a bounce. And so again, low support. We got below it briefly. We've rallied. Are we going to get up into the 700 area, 690 area? Likely. I think we're going to get up into actually higher levels. Like I mentioned to you, I think this 7100 area is a very strong target. So I'll mark this as a target. And lastly, before we move off of this chart, I wanted to show you something over here, which was the Fibonacci. And the Fibonacci modeling, is telling us that 726.20 on the SPY is a likely target. So remember that number, 726.20. We are rejecting off of this weekly or monthly SPY rotation. We had gotten down to the level, rejected off of this move. It's going to be quite a bit higher. So we're now targeting 726.20. Come back over here, give you an example of what that looks like on the SPY. We are now targeting 726.20, which is basically this area right here. So that's our area based on fib target that price will likely attempt to try to rally to or through. So it gives you an idea that really the upper target is 726.20. Okay. Overall, very bullish, very clean rejection, very clean bounce. I get to go brag the I told you so for a while. Hopefully, you guys ended up getting some decent profits, and hopefully, that's going to materialize into some great success stories today. That's what I'm hoping to hear. That people were actually following along, following with what I expected, and and were able to profit from it. All right, let's move over here to gold. Gold is rallying quite a bit. Stalled here recently. I think this is going to be fine. This is kind of like what I drew. Remember, I drew this green line yesterday over here and over here. Well, look at what happened. We apexed, we rallied back out just like I suggested. Gold is up 127 bucks. It was up higher, 150 some, maybe 160. We're running into that rejection around 48.80. That's the area that I drew right here. I'll try to make it, I guess, a little darker or magenta color so you can see it. You can see how I drew this yesterday, saying that we would likely run into some price pause in this area. We've done exactly that. We're moving into a breakdown pattern today. So the breakdown pattern today is in trend mode after this gap stall revert flush. It looks like we had that big flush pattern higher. We're going to move into consolidation a bit today. I don't expect metals to really attempt to move too much higher. Consolidation is going to be a breakdown pattern, and then we move into a large momentum rally tomorrow. So, in theory, ladies and gentlemen, this is kind of what we should be expecting. These magenta lines rolling through a period of consolidation. Let me get rid of some of these. The apex pattern played out very well. We could move into kind of an apexing mode up here. If we do, I would think that the apexing mode would be kind of a rally, up, and breakaway. So the apexing would be kind of like this. Same thing here, rally down, breakaway. Apexing kind of like this. That would be a flagging and upward flag formation. But I do believe we are going to move into some consolidation around this area. So really kind of around this area for silver and this area right below 49.50 for gold. I believe we'll probably hit 49.50 today or tomorrow for gold, and get a deep consolidation flagging upward. I believe it will continue upward, but this is a big move. This is a 3% move in gold, 130, 140 bucks. We'll see how it plays out today. Remember, we could move into the momentum rally phase for tomorrow, carrying into today. So we've had the bottom, we've had the flush, we've had now a bit of a breakdown, and now we could be moving into the momentum rally and into the blank pattern here, which would be likely a bit of a carryover. So overall, I think we're going to continue to see this melt upward, up above 5,000 again, possibly targeting this 5,800, 5080, 5100 area up here. Same thing with silver. I think we're really targeting this 82, 83 area through this move, and I think by early next week or late this week we could be up in this area. So again, beautiful move. Please don't forget about what I keep telling you over here about how this move is playing out. And how we are likely going to move into a fairly solid upward recovery phase here, meaning that we should be up above these levels. We should be targeting this green area right up here. So at this point, remember that gold is at 48.13. We're seeing a very big rally here, but in essence, gold has the ability at this point to potentially move another $1,600 higher, another 33% higher. So we have a very good opportunity for a very solid rally in gold playing out over the next 15, 20, 30 days. So please don't forget that I believe we are going to revert from here up into this area, stall, and then try to move higher. Okay, over here to Bitcoin. Um, Bitcoin is big move yesterday off of this reversion back up to the upper channel, running into very strong resistance again. My assumption is, this is a news related rally, obviously. My assumption is that we will stall back into that downward trend. So understand that, at this point, we've seen that peak, pullback, peak, pullback, peak, pullback, peak up into this resistance channel. And I believe we will see it move back downward again. So be aware that I think we're looking at kind of a rolling recovery move here, right back up into this resistance channel. This resistance channel is likely going to hold, I believe, and move downward. We're looking at a gap potential 22. Obviously, we are in bearish accumulation. Gap potential is unlikely because Bitcoin trades 24/7. We can get some gapping activity, but we are stalling right now. And I believe that we would be looking at a moderate breakdown. So let me try to get the price bars back into the front. You can see that we're getting slight downward activity. I would expect Bitcoin to kind of move downward into that lower channel. So in theory, Bitcoin at this point could move down $6,000 or $7,000 trying to find support in this lower channel, maybe a bit further. Okay, going to be a very exciting day. Again, we're going to see news. Remember, this pause is going to last 2 weeks, so that's going to carry pretty strong strength into earnings, in my opinion. Remember, the pause may end at some point, but also at the same point in time, I want you to realize that we're looking at a pretty solid potential move to the upside right now. So, the bias that everyone was banking on to the downside related to this conflict, unless something changes, that's over. That's done. Okay, guys? We've reached the end of that move. It looks like we're moving into a solid upward trend. And now, if we get the earnings data to back it up, and we get some other reprieve from this conflict in Iran, we could see a very, very solid rally phase taking place here over the next, call it 35, 45 days, maybe up into my ultimate Fibonacci target of 726.20. So we'll see how this plays out. Right now, things are really just rocket. In fact, it looks like it's pushing higher even right now. Let's come back over here to the hourly. Yeah, see, we're pushing higher and higher right now. We're probably going to continue to melt upward into the open and possibly get some pretty big short squeeze at the open. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Talk to you later.